Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion, and the fit for today is the amazing Spider-Man. Let's take a look at a video.
He turned around, looked at them, and called down a curse on them in the name of the Lord. Then 2 bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the boys.
The purpose of that video is to promote her new movie, Immaculate. It's a horror movie where she stars as a nun. This passage was read to get a reaction out of Christians, because at first glance it's hard to understand. But that's why I'm here.
Alright, let's see it.
First off, there are a number of things that I could say about the context, like that it wasn't just a bunch of small children. They were a large, threatening group of young men on the outskirts of the town.
So this is flatly false. The Hebrew phrase there is na'arim katanim, which literally means little boys. Now what apologists will do to try to muddy the waters here is point to different usage of the noun na'ar and insist that that's what's going on here. Because there are 2 different main senses of this noun. Na'ar can mean boy in the broader generic sense of a male youth, and it is used in the Hebrew Bible to refer to newborns, to young boys, to teenagers, all the way up to about 18 to 20 years of age. And then the more narrow technical sense is that of a servant, whether for the household or for the king or for the military or something like that. So you can have a full-grown adult who is called a na'ar in a diminutive sense because they have a servile social status. And you can even have overlap where you have like a 15-year-old boy who is a servant in the military or to the king, and so is a na'ar in both senses. And so what Brooks here has done is first appeal to Genesis 37, where it mentions that Joseph is 17 years old, and then it says he was a na'ar to the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah. That doesn't just mean he was a boy to them, it means he was a servant to them. That is the more narrow technical sense, but Brooks wants you to think that when it uses na'ar, it means a 17-year-old. And it doesn't, not only because that's the narrow technical sense, but also because that does not carry the qualification that we find in 2 Kings 2 of katan, which means little or small. Now, he's also appealing to 1 Kings 11, where it refers to Hadad being a na'ar katan, a little boy. And apologists ignore the context here and pretend that this is referring to Hadad as the opponent to Solomon. However, what's going on here is there's a reference back to how Hadad became an opponent to Solomon, because it says his father left when he was a little boy. And so, na'arim katanim in 2 Kings 2 very clearly means little boys or small boys. These are not young men.
Not only did they insult Elisha, but they blasphemed God.
Not a single word of the text indicates they blasphemed God, and neither of Brooks's references support that claim in any way, shape, or form whatsoever.
I could go on, but it is most important to understand the nature of God's authority. God is the author of life. Our lives are a gift from Him. Imagine you start graciously giving someone $20 every day, and then one day you decide to stop. The person has no right to be mad or say it is wrong for you to stop doing that because they had no right to it in the first place. They did not earn it. It was a gift. In the same way with our life being a gift from God. God is the gift giver, so we can't be mad at Him, especially when the reason is sin.
So this is a sophomoric false analogy that is only trotted out to serve specific rhetorical goals, as many others have already pointed out. But I just want to briefly highlight the harm of trying to generate this conceptualization of life as something that we don't deserve, that we have no right to, and something that we cannot complain about being arbitrarily or capriciously taken away, even from children. And it's particularly harmful for children. It causes untold anxiety and trauma that can last long into adulthood to try to condition them to think about God as this capricious, arbitrary, vindictive, and spiteful taskmaster who could take our lives away from us for any indiscretion whatsoever or for no indiscretion whatsoever. That just communicates to children that they don't deserve to live, that they have no right to life, and that they have no expectation of mercy, all for the sake of trying to protect the inerrancy of this one little passage of Scripture. And then Out of the other side of their mouths, they talk about how deeply meaningful and important life is to God, and how much God cherishes each and every human life. It is, again, sophomoric, it is hypocritical, and it is harmful.
God has that unique authority. Human parents do not, because we procreate, we create with God.
Procreate does not mean create with, it means create forth.
And lastly, there are a variety of views and interpretations on this passage. But even in the worst case scenario, it would not disprove Christianity.
I didn't see where anyone was trying to disprove Christianity.
Because these passages have no bearing on the central truth of the resurrection of Christ. The best explanation of the historical events surrounding Jesus is that he rose from the grave.
It is not even a possible explanation, much less the most likely explanation.
Investigate that first. And thus, given all these reasons, Christians should not be troubled.
This video gives other reasons for Christians to be troubled.